So how can we convince Go that we want to accept a type that actually is either the command manager or the file manager? Well, we can do that with help of an interface. We could add a new interface here in main Go, for example, by using the type keyword that could be named IO manager. The name is up to you though. Then you add interface as a keyword thereafter, not struct, and now you define what makes up this interface. And what makes up this interface is that we want to have a write result method and also a read lines method. Well, therefore, we can add these methods here. We want to have a read lines method, which takes no arguments, no parameters, but which will return a slice of string values and an error, potentially. And we want to have a write result method, which takes some data of any kind of value. So with this flexible interface type here as a value type, and which also might return an error. That's the definition of this IO manager interface. And as you learned in Go, you don't need to explicitly implement this interface. Instead, Go will automatically take a look at various structs and check whether they have these methods with these signatures or not. But now we can use this IO manager interface here in the place where we need a value that has these methods, which is in the prices.go file. Therefore, I'll actually cut this from main.go and instead add a new package, IO manager, with the iomanager.go file with package IO manager, where I have this interface type. And now we can go to prices.go, and there my IO manager in this struct should no longer be forced to be of type file manager. Instead, here I want to use my IO manager package, which I just added, and then this IO manager interface, which can be used as a type. So now I'm happy with any value that has a read lines method and a write result method, where these methods then have these signatures. So that's therefore how this tags included price job should now be described. In addition, I now also want to make sure that when we create a new job, I'm not expecting a file manager necessarily, but instead any IO manager. So again, we can use that same package and that same type to store this IO manager under that key. That then allows us to get rid of the file manager here in the prices.go file, because we're now actually not using this package explicitly anymore. And instead, back in the main.go file, we can now pass either the command manager or the file manager to new tags included price job. Whatever you choose, you won't see an error here. You just see one here if you're not using one of these two values. So now if I comment out the file manager and we're using the command manager instead and I save everything, I can again run this and now enter my prices like $12.99 and $18.99 and 10. And then if I enter 0, we stop and we now instead perform our calculations, and as a result, we get our output printed here. And that now happens for every tax rate. As you see, here was the 0 tax rate, here's the 7% tax rate. I'm going to quit this now with Ctrl C, but that now shows you how easy it now is to swap this and how easily we can also go back to the file manager if we wanted to, simply because we're now using this extra IO manager interface. And that's why interfaces can be a very useful feature in Go.